Okay, so firstly, this episode contains intense spiritual content about plant-based medicine experience and entity work. But if you've ever wondered what it means to truly love your fears rather than fight them, or if you're curious about healing approaches that go beyond traditional psychology, this confession explores the profound shift from battling demons to loving them back to light.
Okay, hey, this is Francisca and this is my mid-crisis life, and welcome to today's Crisis Confessionals. So, this week's been a fucking doozy, man, I swear. Last week I made a video in Crisis Confessionals and it was really heavy stuff, right? It was about things that I don't say out loud for fear of being judged and because of all the shame that I have around it. It was a lot. And I don't know, I think at the time when I made it, I was in this place where I was like, I don't give a fuck what anybody else thinks of me. Like, good art is controversial, right? You either love it or you hate it. You either love me or you hate me. But actually, after I made that video and I was very happy with it, this really disabling, disempowering fear just set in. And I think it's likely to do with another issue that's going on in my life, like a housing issue, that made me just immediately go into this state of panic and this like state of fear. But I don't know, man, like all of a sudden I just was reliving that nightmare, that feeling of, oh my God, what have I done? Everybody's going to hate me. Everyone's going to hate me. Everyone's going to judge me. And I know obviously that's how I judge myself. And I know obviously that the way that I think other people think about me is just my projection of how I think about myself onto other people and whatever else. But it was just this absolute like 180 from where I had been. I'd been like flying high and feeling really optimistic and feeling really happy and content and empowered. And it just all came crashing down immediately, right? And I was just in this visceral state of fear. And I have been for the past like 5-6 days. And it's been really difficult to get up and it's been really difficult to do anything. And I'm like arguing with everybody. I'm arguing with my kids and like I'm just being an absolute like bitch constantly. Like, and my whole frequency, my whole vibe has just changed basically. Anyway, I was watching this film and there was like this throwaway comment that someone made where they were like, okay, honor your fear, take a moment to honor your fear, to note your fear, yeah, and okay, now do the thing, right? And it got me to thinking about this idea, right, that how we think about fear and how we talk about fear. Because I think when people say things like, oh, you got to honor your fear, I think that really what they're saying is they're saying that they just want to acknowledge it. And I think acknowledging your fear is really important, yeah, rather than living in denial all the time or dismissing it or avoiding it or whatever else, right? But I think honoring your fear and acknowledging your fear are two very different things. So I was thinking about, okay, what does it mean? What does it mean to honor your fear? Like, to honor something means to pay homage to that thing, right? It's to place it in a position where you realize its benefits and you're grateful, right, for the benefit of it. And it got me to thinking about, like, okay, do we ever really honor our fear? Do we ever really place it in that place where we're actually truly grateful for it, right? And got me to thinking again, like, as I say, like the kind of language that we use when we're talking about fear, right? People talk about facing your fear and conquering your fears and fighting your fears and I don't know, whatever, right? Facing them, basically, right? Like they're in opposition. People never talk about actually loving your fear, loving it. So as I was lying in bed and I was thinking about this, because as I was thinking about actually how I felt, I got this image of like, I don't know, if you can imagine like, I don't know, like these like lines of fear just like coming out at, like towards me. It kind of looked like, I don't know, that like old Tetris snake game that used to be on that first Nokia that I ever got, which I'm going to show my age, right? And it got me to feeling how under attack I was at that moment in time by my own fears, right? And how difficult it was to love the fear, to love the fear. So, okay. One time, right, when I had taken some ayahuasca and I was under the medicine, I had this vision where I was like walking around the inside of my own body with a torch, right? And everything's pitch black, but I'm walking around and I know that I'm inside my own body and I'm walking around with this torch and I'm looking for anything that doesn't feel like it's me, anything that feels like more of a low vibrational energy, anything that feels more like, I don't know, insipid or like entity based, basically. Anyway, so I'm walking around, and then all of a sudden, just in the corner of my eye, as I flashed my torch past this particular place, I saw this tiny little, like, just slip of, like, I don't know, like a little label of something, right, sticking out the corner of some part of the inside of me. Well, okay, what's that? So I go back and I flash my torch on it. I'm like, what's this sneaky? What's this inside of me? So I go ahead and I pull on the end of this tiny little thing that I could see. And as I pull it, out comes like the biggest, scariest, most gigantic demonic entity that I have ever seen in my life, right? And it's like towering over the top of me. And I'm stood there looking at this humongous fucking demon that's inside of me. And I'm not gonna lie, it's fucking scary, right? There's like fear and shame and like evil just like pulsating like off this thing everywhere, right? And I'm stood there and I'm looking at it. But for reasons that I'll get into, in that moment in time, I didn't feel in fear of that fear. I didn't feel in fear of that entity. In fact, what I did instead is I turned to it and I started saying, hey, yo, like, what's up, man? Like, what's the deal? Like, what's your MO? Like, what are you doing? Like, why are you doing this? What is your purpose? And this demon starts talking to me. And it starts saying to me, like, it's hard, you know, it's hard being this evil all the time. It's hard being in this low vibration. I don't think you understand how difficult this is for me, how awful it feels, right? To resonate constantly at that lower base frequency and to just be evil all the fucking time, right? So I start counseling this demon, right? We sit down and we start having a chat. And as the conversation goes on, towards the end of the conversation, I say, you know what though? Listen, you do understand that it's a choice, right? You do understand that there is another option. And this demon just got it. And without saying a word, right? I watched it as it stood up and walked over to the back of the room, whatever that was, right? And I saw it kneel down and open its hands up and bow its head. This humongous fucking mess of evil incarnate, right? Kneels down and bows its head down. And as it does, I see Jesus, right? Just come out the sky in a lightning bolt, bam, come down, hit the floor, radiating light, right? And Jesus just looks at me from across the room with this demon bowed down in front of him. And he gives me like a nice little smile and just touches this thing on the shoulder. And as he does, both of them just evaporate into light, right? And go streaming up into the sky. And that's it. They were gone. And immediately, what happened? Well, it could have been immediately, right? I don't know. It could have been 15 minutes later. It could have been 3 hours later. Who knows, right? I was high on ayahuasca. But it felt like immediately. Immediately, I was like transported into this place. And I don't know, like anybody who maybe didn't grow up in the 80s in the UK may not understand the reference, but we used to have this TV show, right? Where there were like different skits that would happen, but it was all happening inside of like a magazine, right? Like the Beano or the Dandy or something like that, right? And the camera would zoom out from one, I don't know, page, one part of the page, and zoom across and then zoom back into another part of the page, and then there'd be like a new skit. And it felt like that's exactly what happened to me, right? I zoomed out and I just went across the page and then I zoomed back into this place. And in this place, all of a sudden I found myself in the middle of this vast desert, right? Desert as far as the eye could see, just dunes absolutely everywhere, right? And I'm standing at this wooden toll booth looking thing, right? Like a tiny little information booth. Yeah. There's like, I don't know, like a little like shelf here and there's wooden beams like around me here, right? And I look behind me, and behind me is all of my spirit family, right? My spirit guides, all of my ancestors, all of my descendants, like all of my people, them who are here in this life from a different realm to support me, right? Animals and mythical creatures and all the rest of it, right? And they're just milling around behind me, right? And then I look to the left and there's Jesus again, good old JC, right? And he's hanging out by a door. And this door is in the middle of the desert. There's nothing around it. It's just a door. And the door opens up, and streaming out of this door is like the most blinding light that you'll ever see. Like to the point, like you can't look in there. You can't see anything. It's just light. And then I look to my right, and on my right, I see angels and archangels and my like tribes people, right? So I have two tribes that I've seen many times. One of them's like Native American, and then one of them's like, I don't know, Eastern European kind of thing, right? And they're hanging there and they're telling me like, yeah, we're here for protection. And I know that God is up there above me. God is everywhere, so all around, right? And as I look in front of me, in the desert, literally thousands, thousands and thousands of fucking demons are queuing up to come and meet me in this toll booth. And I just get this immediate knowing, like, oh, I'm here as a conduit. They literally just saw what I did. That this demon, I spoke to him like a person, like a real thing, with compassion and with love. And actually what it wanted was not to be evil anymore. It just wanted to pass over. It wanted to go back to God. It wanted to go back to source, back to creation, right? And they've seen that this has happened, and now they've all come. They have descended. And I kid you not, there's like, I don't know, like a queue just like stretching as far as the desert, thousands of them queuing up, and they start coming up to the toll booth, and then they start moving through, and then they start being touched on the shoulder by Jesus, and they start going through this door, right? And I left that scene and came back out again and went back into something else. But I had this knowledge that wherever I was and whatever I was doing, that was still going on simultaneously somewhere on this desert. Anyway, all right, cool. I was high, right? I was on the medicine. People see all sorts of shit. It's a hallucinogenic. I know there's a lot of people that are going to be listening to this saying like, it was probably some sort of like mental breakdown, or it's just your imagination or whatever else, right? But the interesting thing is that after I had that experience and I was back in the real world, right? Sober as a judge, all the rest of it, right? I kept on just feeling attacked, feeling attached to, like every single day for like a week and a half. I'd just feel so heavy and so full of fear and whatever else. But I knew that it wasn't mine. I knew it wasn't my fear, right? And I can't be able to get into like the logistics of how I know all of that stuff, but I knew it for a reason. And a couple of times, because it was just completely overwhelming and I was trying to get on with my life and I was trying to do my job and I was trying to be a parent, I would start just going into meditation, right? When I felt this way. And every time I did it, something would happen. I would get this image immediately of some kind of weird, distorted looking thing that wasn't particularly pleasant to look at. And then bam, immediately I would get this image flash up. And then from that image, I would get this download of absolutely everything that had happened to this thing, right, in its life, what it had done wrong, how it felt, the shame that it was carrying, the burdens that it was carrying, the reason why it felt like it couldn't pass over, it couldn't go back to God because it felt like it wasn't good enough, because it felt like it hadn't atoned enough, because it needed absolution, right? And in the end, I spoke to my friend about it, and I was like, this is nonstop. Like, I'm just constantly being attacked. They're just coming all the time, nonstop. And my friend said to me, you know what? Why don't you do this then? Why don't you just say to them, listen, this is not working for me. Yeah. Come back on this day at this time, and I will be here, and I will pass over as many of you as I can get done in that time. And you know, the minute that I said that, everything stopped. Everything stopped. Gone. All the feeling, all the visceral pain, all of the disabling, I don't even know how to explain it, right? Just the pain, just constant pain that I was in was just all gone. Anyway, it came to the day, and for about 3 months after this, every single Sunday at 8 o'clock, I would sit in my bed and I would go into a meditation, not even a deep meditation, like literally 30 seconds in, and then boom, I'll be back in the desert. And so much crazy stuff happened in that desert. But what was really interesting is that some of these entities, they would just pass through, right? They just needed like as I say, a conduit. They just needed something to get from where they were to where they wanted to be. But every so often, some of them would come up. One of them would come up to the booth that I was standing behind, and again, immediately I would get a download of that entire demon's life, and all of them were just people. All of them were people who had had something done to them, had had a really difficult experience or something like that, right? And then from that had become more bitter and more resentful and more hateful, and then done something that they felt was unforgivable off the back of that. And all of them just needed love. All of them just needed some kindness, some compassion, right? And I think the thing that's interesting, which I kind of touched on earlier, is that the only reason I was able to do this, the only reason that I wasn't immediately running in fear from these things, because they're fucking scary looking, right? Just like, ugh. I don't know what that was. But anyway, like they're kind of like, like really, like make your skin crawl and like just super creepy or like really fucking scary looking, right? But the only reason I was able to do this is because of all the work that I'd done previously. So for like 2 to 3 years before this happened, I was constantly, well, my entire life, right? Up until a certain point, I was plagued all the time, like during the day, every night that I went to sleep, I'd have constant nightmares. I'd have this constant feeling of fear, like all the time. Like I couldn't be in a dark street by myself. I couldn't watch horror movies. Like I couldn't be around any of it. I was just constantly in fear. And there's a lot of other stuff to it, but basically I had a breakthrough, and I can't be bothered to talk about that right now, but there was a particular thing that happened. And then from that point, for like 3 years, I was figuring out how to deal with this, how to deal with constant attack, being under attack from these, I don't know, lower based forms, these lost souls, whatever you want to call it, right? And I went through so many different iterations from like, I don't know, trying to fight, like literally trying to fight these things, to trying to hear them, trying to understand them, blah, 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 blah. And then finally, something just clicked. And I realized like, oh, I just need to embody love. I need to reset my frequency when I feel like I'm under attack. I just need to focus on becoming and feeling as much love as I possibly can. And I did it this one time. And as I did it, whatever it is that was plaguing me completely melted away. It just eviscerated. I don't even know where it went. And then I immediately got this vision of Jesus just going like, well done. Yes. Well done. You finally worked it out. This is how you deal with it, right? So yeah, the other night when I was lying in bed and I was feeling all of this fear, and I saw this thing, this vision of like these lines just like coming out for me, and they're like coming, all right. It made me think of this film, and it made me think of like, okay, Can I acknowledge that I'm in fear? Yeah. Okay, cool. Can I honor it? Yeah. Okay, cool. Can I love it? Right. And the thing is, whenever I am in a place where doing something feels counterintuitive to what it is that I think that I should be doing, there's no way that I should be loving a demon, right? They don't deserve it or whatever. Like, you're here just wreaking havoc on my insides and my like spiritual well-being. My emotional body feels fucked up. My energetical body feels completely in disarray. Why should I be loving you? So when I feel like that and I'm trying to figure out how to do something that feels counterintuitive, what I always try and do, or what my brain does naturally, is it tries to find the middle ground, right? So it tries to figure out how I can love this thing. Yeah. So even like when I'm in situations that are shitty or people have been horrible to me or whatever, right? My brain's always like, okay, but you can love this situation because of what it's teaching you. You can love this person because of the gift that they've given you in terms of the lesson that they're offering you, right? You can love this fear because it's reminding you of what it feels like not to be in fear, right? So my brain wants to find a reason, a justification to like rationalize why it is I can do something that feels counterintuitive, right? But what I was thinking about the other day and what I kind of fell into was, what about if I could just love it? If I could love it anyway. Not because it's given anything, not because it's done anything for me, not because it's taught me anything, not because it's helped me on my evolutionary journey, not because it's allowed me to recognize that, joy and sadness are one and the same thing and all that philosophical bullshit. What if I can just love it because everything deserves love? Even the things that are scary, even the things that look disgusting, even the things that make your skin crawl, right? That they deserve love. And I think about this kind of like, I don't know, these lessons that we're taught, right? About the war on good and evil and how we have to like slay our demons and how we have to like fight our demons and, that sort of thing. And how, we're taught that there's good and bad and that there's a war going on between good and evil and the good is going to come out on top if we put on our armor and blah, 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 blah. But actually, Jesus talks about loving your enemy. And he doesn't talk about loving your enemy, in terms of like, because they're giving you something or because you can see the benefit of them in your own lives. He talks about just loving your enemy, right? And it reminded me of this book, right, called The Law of One. And The Law of One is a really, really fascinating thing. I didn't read the whole thing. I watched the videos by Aaron Abke because he's read it. And I'm not trying to reinvent the wheel. You just tell me whatever it is that you know about this shit, right? But what he talks about is he talks about the energy of love, right? And he talks about how the frequency of love, how the frequency of evil, let's call it, whatever it is you want that to represent, how the frequency of evil cannot stand to be around the frequency of love. So it's not that love and evil, or love and fear, right, are fighting in opposition. It's just that when love is there, fear can't resonate. It can't stand to be around that frequency. So whatever it is retreats, right? I've seen it so many times, right, when I felt like I'm under attack and I've just embodied love. I've seen these demons just be like, no, thank you, right? And they run off. And see, the thing is, right, even if you don't believe in all of this like hocus pocus spiritual shit, right? Even if you don't believe that there are demons and that when they were talking about demons in the Bible, they were just talking about like, the demons that we carry inside, it was like a completely metaphorical thing. Even if you don't think that any of that exists, even if you don't believe in heaven and hell, which, I mean, to be fair, as a concept, I don't really believe in any of that, but that's a whole different subject, right? But even if you don't believe in any of all of that hocus pocus shit that I'm talking about right now, you can still think of it logically, like, because what are demons? What are our demons? What are the demons that we're fighting, right? They're these lower based thought forms. They're intrusive thoughts that intrude, yeah, and take over the way that we think and the way that we feel and then the way that we behave. And all of those thoughts are resonating at a lower energy. Like, there's nobody that can tell me scientifically that if you think happy thoughts all the time, that you're going to feel energetically the same way that you'll feel if you think shitty thoughts. I mean, they've done it, like experiments, right? When you talk lovely to your plants and whatever else, they grow and they grow into big, beautiful things. They've even put rice into like clear cylinders, and they've chatted absolute awful shit to just one bag of cooked rice, and then they've spoken absolute beautiful love to another bag of cooked rice, and the one that's had all of that negative energy has molded and turned brown more quickly than this one. So we know already that this is true, right? So I guess the thing is, and the point of what I'm saying is that, can you love your demons? Can you love the intrusive thoughts that come into your head just for being what they are? Just because, just like you, they deserve love. Just because there is no hierarchy of deservedness, that grace is abundant and grace belongs to absolutely everybody in the world, and that we are not the arbiters of who deserves love and who doesn't deserve love. And can you, through that, change your frequency into a loving frequency, which is something that's really, really hard to do when you're like low mood, when you're like lack of motivation, when your depression is setting in, or whatever that looks like for you, right? It feels painful in your body. Right? can you just give it love? Can you be love in those moments and obliterate through that resonance anything else that's there? Yeah. So something that I'm grateful for. I think right now in this moment in time, I'm actually just grateful that I have the courage, maybe like the insanity to talk about these things, right? These are really personal experiences, and they're the kind of experiences that would make someone look at you and say that you're having some sort of like psychopathic break, that you're in some kind of like, I don't know, spirit-based psychosis, and that you're just a fucking nutcase, right? And that's fine, you know, whatever. If people think that about me, I don't really care. But yeah, I'm just really grateful that I have the courage to talk about these things, because I think that this kind of work is the next level. It's the next level beyond just understanding your own psyche, or, you know, knowing what's in your heart and going into your body. These are things that, just because we can't perceive them in the third dimension, in this level of density that we're in here, these are things that are happening around us, and these are things that interplay with how we live our lives every single day. And I think that the apathy around it, and like the desensitization to the things that are evil that are happening in our world, to make it this more rationalized, logical, like there's nothing magical about it. It's not spiritual. It's just, you know, this person grew up in this way, and if you dissect his brain, then you'd understand that this, that, and the other. Like, no, there's some other shit going on, guys. And I think we need to start thinking about these things, and we need to start interacting with these things, and we need to start honoring these things like they're real. So yeah, all right, come back tomorrow for Monday Mindset. We're going to talk a little bit more about resonance, and how even if you think I'm an absolute crazy bitch, that might fit into your life. All right, cool. All right, that's it.
Okay, so whether you see demons as literal entities or metaphors for intrusive thoughts, the principle remains. Love dissolves what fear cannot fight. Drop a comment about your own relationship with fear. Do you battle it or love it? Monday's episode is going to explore the science of frequency and resonance, even if you think I'm absolutely batshit crazy.